How's it going, guys? It's Mr. Lone Wolf, and today I've got two main missions really. This first one, provide resources to repair the oil station. You're basically just delivering a vehicle, and it's not even got any supplies with it or anything. It's just like a semi-truck, but basically you've got to try and get across that road, which is pretty much knackered, and then that whole road has collapsed as well, so I'm going to cut around the building. This was my plan anyway, and then drop it off there. It seems pretty simple because it's not too far away. But the vehicle is this Wayfarer, whatever code name it gave it. And, well, you'll see, this is like a short little drive. I knew that road that's kind of all washed out and all the rest of it would be a problem. I was hoping I could cut off to the left, because there's like another yard you could cut through. You could go a really long way round. If I turned left just there in another yard, yeah, you could go a very long way, but what appears to be the way it wants you to go is this way. I'm amazed at this point it got over those train tracks looking back. Like, that blue train that's kind of blocking the way, you can move that, but you need a winch to drag it out of the way. We'll get to that in a minute. Yeah, so at this point I was kind of eyeballing going over that way and cutting through, but they've already, like, there's walls in the way, there's a big ditch, the rail cars are in the way, there's just no decent way to do it. And then right now I was like, you've got to be joking me. Like, this thing won't even reverse up this tarmac road because it's not got the grip. It's bleeding all its power into the middle axle. I believe the rear axle does have some power, but clearly not a lot. Yeah, and I was already thinking, like, right, so you want me to get this vehicle to that oil station and it can't even reverse up a gentle slope that a one-year-old could pedal a bicycle up. And look at the road in front, like, how the hell am I gonna get over that? And then I dropped down into here and just went to reverse and it got stuck again, and I was like, right, fuck that. Loaf, it is time. So, yeah, send in the goddamn horse. There's no way on earth that that truck is ever going to make it. Even if, I'm sure somebody could sit there with enough patience and maybe it would, but it isn't worth it. Yeah, bit of Robbins racing again, overtaken with the Loaf. I just left that in for, again, the Loaf you'd think is slower than, like, the mule, but it managed to catch that AI up and overtake it. I know I cut it on the inside to do that, but quite often I've chased many AI with my mule, and half the time it can barely keep up or catch up or anything, whereas the Loaf, pretty consistent because it's got nice torque. Yeah, slow and steady, but he made it. So I got that blue cargo thing out of the way, and just to satisfy my own curiosity as well, whilst it wasn't raining, I went to the same dip, tried to reverse, same thing's happening, it's just bleeding the power. Yeah, so even in the dry, not that it really should make a difference to which axle gets fed the power, but you know what I mean, for the sakes of science and all that good stuff. Yeah, so cutting across that road, but like I say, that one's knackered as well. So cutting around there should be alright, and then there's some metal pipes in the way, but again, I've got the goddamn horse with me, so that shouldn't be a problem. And yeah, two main reasons I brought in the Loaf. One, he's goddamn professional, and two, he's a goddamn horse. No, it was one, I knew he'd get over this terrain. So even there, like, he doesn't tip because he knows it's too important to stay on his tracks at the minute. And also, yeah, getting those metal pipes out the way. Like, again, other trucks could ram them, but Loaf's got a winch, so I knew that it'd be able to do that. Oh, is that where it attached? I was wondering, I was like, how the hell did the winch change from the front of the truck to the side? That is when it happened then. I was probably looking at, like, the front of the Loaf, see where I'm steering and all the rest of it. So yeah, it just started winching the truck behind me, basically. It's definitely a bit of a tough section to get through. The fact that this is one of the slowest speeds I've ever seen the Loaf go, I don't think it ever got officially stuck or anything like that. I'm still jiggling and wiggling. That's one, that's it. Stuff like this where the Loaf being in two sections that's sort of hydraulically actuated or whatever is quite handy, because when you get stuck in situations like this, you can actually wiggle like a worm, and it forces one track or the other to make contact with new ground. It's a little bit like in SnowRunner, the Azov Antarctic or whatever it's called, or Iceberg. I think Iceberg might have been AGL's version. Yeah, it has articulation, so again, if you get stuck, if you're on the ice or something, you could sort of wiggle, and that's one thing that most I don't know, normal wheel vehicles sort of don't do very well with. Yeah, like I say though, sort of ticking along. Still wheeling along, climbing over the hills, running over some trees, finding which ditch and bump is best to go up and down. I didn't realise, I was about ready, I was eyeballing to go under that tree. And it was only about now, I was like, oh shit, the road's there. Like, I don't know why, I was ready to go all the way. That's what she said. So, to back up the Loaf. Shove that truck out of the way. See, Loaf, he's just got enough torque that he just does what you want him to do. And again, I appreciate it for focus. Or to focus, because the only thing worse than not having a Loaf in the game would be making it a terrible Loaf that's useless. The Snow Runner is an absolute goddamn professional. Saved me bacon hundreds of times. Got several hundred videos as proof that the Loaf is a goddamn professional. And yeah, in this game as well, typical sort of situation like this, really. I don't know of many other vehicles that would have got through that. I'm sure there's some, like the cable layer is tracked. Long story short, though, I haven't got various vehicles unlocked at the minute, so the majority of the tracked vehicles I don't have access to yet. The Loaf is about the only one really, except like say the cable layer, but sort of won't really count that. It's got like that big fat reel on the front that would definitely like dig in if you're dropping down bumps and all sorts. Yeah, managed to murder a tree. I think I was not fully paying attention. So swerving around all over the place. Yeah, this is where I want to cut around the building because the entire road's out. The only awkward thing about that road being out, the one I'm sort of avoiding now, is it's basically on like a 90-degree angle. So building a bridge isn't really ideal anyway. So you're probably going to have to send in like the bulldozers and all that sort of stuff. And I might end up just pouring a load of sand there and building a normal road, which is fine because worst case there is this little shortcut I've just done now. So it's not like it's properly forcing you to. There's also like a makeshift road going around it. It's still pretty rough, but there is options. Yeah, the goddamn horse just drives over these parts. I was just ready to ram them all out of the way, but he wasn't even wasn't playing games. I have a slight bug and a crash now. I'll show you what happened. So I did the mission, but I drove the vehicle into the square with the Loaf, not the truck. So when I switched to the truck, you'll see it says unknown, unknown, and it must have freaked it out a bit. And for the next 30 seconds or a minute, the mission, the game and everything was fine. I looked what the next mission was, checked out the AI route. When I now clicked back to the Loaf, because it said I'd select a vehicle to continue, the game froze now, and just as I saved it, it all moved. But then I went into the Loaf, and you can see I'm pressing like the vehicle, like the big PS4 button in the middle. It's not opening up the map or anything, and then now I brought up like the to switch vehicle at the bottom, but there's only the Loaf. And it basically just got stuck on this. I was pressing all sort of buttons right now. In the end, I just closed the game because not a lot else was working. So I reloaded the game up. The Loaf and that truck actually started on the other side of those pipes again. But anyway, the next mission, which I actually did this before I just did that one, but I did it around this way because it's better. I had to draw an AI route down to here in part of Monteville. And then Kelly. Right, so once I drew an AI line there, and I think it was only 2 vehicles getting there, it's pretty simple. It's now spawned 2 like massive wooden log plate things that you've got to fix a wall and yeah, shore up the banks or all the rest of it. So I went to the shop, bought a Zix 612C. I've already got a crane, but I wanted to buy a new one for this mission. I figured I've saved up enough pennies for now. Still got just over 200 grand. Again, because some people have said, why have I not bought more new vehicles if I'm sitting on 200 grand? Because I'm waiting for some of the better vehicles that bring something new to the table, and I don't want to risk blowing all my money and then not having enough to buy them. So as I'm going though, like I bought a new one of these, which is this. I bought that yesterday, I think. Yeah, now I've just bought a new crane, I've bought a new dozer. I'm slowly getting there, but I just want to make sure I've got a pool of money, like preferably, yeah, 200 to 250 grand spare, just in case we unlock a whopper that's not cheap. Yeah, so for this mission, there's a couple of different... Well, I was going to say there's a couple of different ways to approach it. There's not a lot, because you've got to drive there. My concept was I'm going to take a big crane, because where you've got to drop them off, it doesn't look like... I think you'd struggle pretty damn badly with the mule, or just whatever's got a short crane. I think there's only the mule at the minute anyway. So I wanted to take a bigger crane, and then, yeah, I thought I'd give the Zik 605E another chance. Loaded the crane up, folded the ramps up, but it wouldn't obviously let me strap the crane down, so I just used that tip again, quickly grabbed the barrel, just that was near the garage, put it on the crane, and then I was able to strap the barrel, which kind of works the same as pinning the crane down. Yeah, pretty nice thumbnail, and then the bloody AI drives in the way. Well, I thought it actually looked alright, makes the map look quite lively. Yeah, similar view to yesterday where the Loaf is driving past. So anyway, I'm going to drive, well, there's where I've got to shore up and all the rest of it. I'm sure I've followed the line along to give a demo. Yeah, down here, past the power substation, and once I'm there, you've got to grab 2 of those massive plate things and fix that wall, but I wasn't sure if I'd be able to drive directly over, so I kind of drew I'm going to go round this way. But again, I wasn't entirely sure until I get there. All I knew is, worst case, the crane could carry the things themselves, but if not, I've got the Zik 605E that I can load the plates onto, and then yeah, I've got a crane with a long enough arm to reach this wall I've got to fix. Which, yeah, someone said a while back in the comments, like, as you get later through the maps, you can tell it's sort of trying to wean you off using the mule or like the little crane, and it wants you kind of more to use the big cranes, which makes sense, and it's pretty cool. I kind of like doing this sort of stuff where you got like the big heavy equipment out. Not going to say it. Yeah, there's a good thumbnail opportunity. Yeah, big crane, big heavy Zik 605E heavy equipment transporter or whatever it's called. And I wanted to give it another go, because that mission I did yesterday where, was it yesterday or was it the day before? Well, anyway, where I was trying to drive up the hill, and it choked pretty badly, and then I had to get the mule off the trailer. I wanted to give this, yeah, another chance. I mean, instead of a transformer and a mule, it's got a Zik 612, was it? 612C or something. It should be at least, if not more weight. I actually was going to do my trick again of putting the ramps down to see if it'll bump the trailer up, but it just so happened, whatever little rock I was stuck on, it got loose and started driving ahead again. So it was close to throwing in the towel, but didn't really have to resort to any shenanigans. A little bit of interior driving. I don't do too much of it, and I didn't want to do too much while I'm, yeah, got like a massive trailer and all the rest of it, because I've done it before, and then it's like your trailer will slip into a ditch, and you obviously don't realise until your own truck starts flopping over to the side, and yeah, you miss quite a lot. I like third-person view anyway, even in racing games and all that. I think because I like looking at the vehicle I'm driving. So again, in racing games, especially when you've unlocked like the later stuff that's nice cars, and I like cars, third-person view is just a good way to go. See, what I was trying to be all proper about it as well. Could have drove in the normal way. I figured, fuck it, I'm going to try and go for a big old reverse. I'm not terrible at reversing trailers, but I'm not great. I'm not about real life when I'm out in the game. But I will also say, in people's defence on SnowRunner in this game, because of the nature of the deformed terrain and all the rest of it, your steering input isn't always equal. You might do, say, 2 seconds of steering input and get 5 degrees of trailer rotation. 10 seconds later, you might do 2 seconds of steering input and get 10 degrees of trailer rotation. It's kind of, you're partly dependent on where your wheels, if they're slipping into dips or like fighting, going over a bump and all sorts. But reasonably speaking, we got there. Went a little bit wider than I was expecting, and then I think I clipped clipped my wheel on the wall. Overall, not bad. I was pretty happy with that for a first attempt. It's quite nice, even though the trailer's quite long, because it's a gooseneck, you can get quite a good angle on it. It's not like, it's sort of, yeah, your vehicle's half rotating under it as well, which is quite nice. Drop the ramps. When I was reversing off, I am blaming my cat for this one, because it jumped up where my phone and I've got a fan going and all that, and as I looked round, as I was reversing the crane off the trailer, it slipped off. I just hit the crane legs, and as they opened, it kind of bumped me back over and got off there pretty easily. So, step 2 was load these big, yeah, they're kind of like, I mean, they're made of logs, but they're a bit like those massive concrete slabs I was messing around with the other day. Loaded both of them onto the Zik 605E. Yeah, I'd already decided at this point, you can see there's like a chassis of a truck that's in the way, that's immovable and all the rest of it. I'm sure you could ram your way over and all that, but I was figuring, like, to try and do the mission a little bit more sanely, not just winging it by smashing vehicles over trucks. Not that I'm against that, don't get me wrong, I reserve the right to do that in future missions. But I think I had enough time at this point that I could try and do it the proper way. But yeah, overall, I've not really driven this 6 all that much. You can see it got caught a little bit there, but for the little that I have drove it, it's about fair. It doesn't get caught all the time or anything. I wasn't expecting it to be like an absolute off-roading monster, because it is a giant crane. It's got all the crane legs tucked in underneath and all the rest of it. But yeah, it's not a complete piss taker. You can see I do probably catch the bumper here and there. But overall, it's got, nice thing is it's got plenty of wheels and it seems to be feeding them all power, so generally you've got some wheels contacting somewhere that's still pushing you forward. Yeah, switch back to my Zix. The reason why I did this is when I approached there in the crane, you can see there's like where the earthquake or whatever it is has dropped the land down, and there's like a bit of a bump to get up. So I had a bit of an idea, because there was a couple of options really. You could bring a dozer, I suppose, and pour some sand and smooth it out and all the rest of it. Yeah, or, well, I don't even know if it'd let you build a bridge, to be honest. And this 6, again, I mean, the trailer catches quite a bit, but I just think overall they need to give it a bit more grip and a little bit more power. Nothing crazy, but it's just like there where it loses. You need it like raw power to just kind of rip the trailer over little bumps and all the rest of it, because there's a million bumps in this game. It's inevitable you're going to come across them. You may as well have a vehicle that can actually wrench the trailer over and not just constantly like try and beach itself and then run out of juice. Yeah, you can see where the land's kind of dropped down, so I've got to sort of bump up there a bit. Maybe you could go over the bricks and climb up there. But my idea was to use these things as like a little ramp. Don't know if that's what you're supposed to do, but I kind of figured it out pretty quickly, to be honest, because especially I was using those like massive concrete slabs the other day. Kind of seemed logical at this point. Cut a bit out, so I was just faffing around with the crane, but just getting them lined up, just making sure that when they fall, they're kind of spanning as much distance as possible. Get the second one laid in there. That's why the bloody crane menus. And then, yeah, I didn't edit that little bit there, because I was thinking, like, I'll do it all in one shot so you can see that it, yeah, I didn't kind of faff around for 5 minutes. I turned that way, and then I realised, actually, I'm going to reverse up and go the other way, because I'm going to reverse to where I need to drop these things off. Just gives me the most reach then. There's, like, the crane is near enough right at the back of this. Yeah, you can see in the background there's, like, the blue kind of ghosted effect where it wants me to drop them. So I lifted, put one on my roof, and then had one kind of primed and ready to go hanging off the back of my crane. I even, yeah, went in low range there. I didn't want to violently reverse and have this thing slip off, otherwise I've got to rotate the crane back around. That's one reason I did buy a new crane. Appreciate whoever said it, but they said when you, like, the new crane versus the rusty one, this one, the crane does a 360 quicker than the rusty one, so that alone was a pretty good reason to get a new version. And yeah, as I drove down there, it slipped down, and then as I opened my crane legs, it kind of notched me over to the left anyway. I still think I would have reached regardless, but kind of worked in my favour a little bit. I could drop it now, but I was just curious, like, will it actually let me go all the way down? It started being a bit iffy. I was like, fuck it. I soon got bored of testing for that. Yeah, dropped it in there, and again, once it's green, it kind of locks into place. Grab the next one. And yeah, I mean, you can tell at this point, unless you reversed right into the water and got really close and all the rest of it, I don't think the mule's going to help you out too much. Especially that these are quite long as well, so like you'd waste a lot of the mule's crane length just in height to stop them things dragging along the floor. But we've got it done. Reinforce the shore of Monteville.
Nice work. You saved the town. If they erect a statue in your
Look,
honor,
now she's talking about erections. Get my nose right. She knows what she really means. That's what she meant by nose. Yeah. Bird's eye view. There's the wall I fixed. And then, there's a bit of a Brucey bonus. I was messing around with the Zik 605E. I was assuming this was going to be like the end of the video. But I switched back to this, and I wanted to see originally if it could climb up these bricks to the left. And I ended up leaving this bit in, one to demonstrate like how well or not well this 6 does with the trailer attached to it. But it's also kind of a little bit of perseverance and that. Can go a long way in games like this, and in SnowRunner does the same. So yeah, I was trying to climb up there, and I kind of got stuck at this point. In its defence, the trailer's basically beached, and that's what's... One bad thing about it having a gooseneck is because of the way it connects on top of, like, how it is. It kind of holds your back of your truck up in the air if the trailer gets beached, so it instantly lifts, like, a lot of weight off the 2 rear wheels in particular. But as I was reversing, I was noticing, like, oh, I wonder if these tyres could, like, climb up the bank sideways, and I was thinking that'd be pretty cool if I could pull it off, but it was not looking... It was sort of getting there. I was thinking at that point, like, oh, I'm pretty close, but it just started chewing up, like, the mud underneath that road. I think there's, like, a bit of a sharp lip as well on the edge of that. And then when I reversed, I got stuck on something. I'm not even entirely sure what, but I left it in, because you can see the ramps. I'm purposely making them go up and down. Just keep pressing X for toggle ramp, and it's jiggling my truck around quite a lot. So that's one way, just in the future, if you do get stuck, just as they change direction, they actually sort of send like a good bit of weight rippling through the trailer, and it does actually bob you up and down. And eventually I was able to, like, whatever the hell I was stuck on, I got loose enough that I got the front tyres back on this bank of mud and was able to crawl back out of there. And again, thinking, oh, can I climb up? It's close, it's just never quite there. Just basically skirting on to the end. I was just about to call it a day and be like, yeah, it's probably not happening. And then it got a little bit higher at the edge there. Trying to wiggle my ramps. You can see, again, it is making like the front of my vehicle sort of nod up and down. Not quite enough, however. Bit of reversing. Trying to get it lined up like to where both axles are sort of gripping. A bit of wiggling from the trailer, you can't see it too well, but once that bumped the first wheel up, got the second one up. So yeah, I kind of left it in because I just thought it's one, give this vehicle a second chance at demonstrating what it can and can't do, as it kind of failed miserably on that other mission. And yeah, once that was up, trying to jiggle the ramps again, but it unbeached itself, got the wheels up there, hit a tree. And we're in. When I swerve now, though, and I hit the handbrake, it kind of slid the back end around from the weight of the trailer, which put me in a bit of a precarious situation. But yeah, I was curious, I suppose, if I could get the truck and trailer up there. So if I still had those shore things strapped to it, would I be able to get it close enough to the crane? And then quickly while I was here, I tried lifting this up. It's got 2 winch points to the vehicle, 2 to the trailer. It wasn't lifting the truck, it was just staying like this until you retract the crane right in, which SnowRunner kind of does a similar thing, where even though it's technically off the ground and it's lifted it, it won't let you go any higher. I wish they'd just fix it and make it essentially like the hydraulic piston underneath the crane just needs to be strong enough to force the crane in the air no matter what, really. But yeah, when you retract the crane short enough, it has enough lifting power at that point, and then you can extend it again, and it's fine. It's not just completely dropping back down. So yeah, there we go. There's Kelly's erection she was dreaming about. Anyway, that's about it for today. Hope you've enjoyed. I hope that helps. Thanks for watching. Get yourself a loaf because he's a whopper, and I'll be back soon.